I just want to preface this video by giving out a huge apology for the extreme delay in videos. As some of you may know, I have been sick since February and I'm still sick. I'm still throwing up, but I'm on a new medication, trying to muster up as much energy as I can for my videos and future projects. Again, huge apology. With that said, let the video begin. Hey y'all! If you are new here, welcome. If you're a subscriber or a lurker, welcome back. I am Alyssa. I also go by Lyss or Alsira, whichever's okay. Before I move on, I should apologize for the huge delay in uploads. I was sick and I had other stuff to take care of in my life. Other than that, I'm feeling slightly okay. For today, I'll be talking about a poetic reading I recently uploaded to this channel titled Wrath No Greater. This poem is more politically charged than the others I've read on this channel. I guess you can figure out the inspiration for this poem and why I wrote it, but I want to go into more detail. Plus, it's cool to see my art, right? If you would like to have art created by me, you can commission me via Ko-Fi, or you can donate there. I also have affiliate links in my link tree, as well as a link to purchase my first poetry collection, Kaleidoscope. Some content warnings before we move on in this video. I will be talking about abortion, miscarriages, and abuse. I won't go into great detail about these topics. Since this poem centers on controversial topics, my comment section is open to discussions, but keep it civil. I will monitor comments, and if I see any unnecessary fighting or name calling going on, I will delete it and block the user. Now, to the poem. I wrote Wrath No Greater in response to the U.S. Supreme Court overturning the ruling of Roe v. Wade, putting a lot of this country's population in danger. You may notice in this poem, I don't just refer to women and girls, I also refer to trans men and non-binary AFAB folks. The quote-unquote those who do not identify as a woman, but still have the same anatomy. I wanted to be inclusive and open up a conversation on reproductive rights and who else this affects. My intentions were not to exclude women or to overlook them. It was to be inclusive. The more interesting part about this poem is the perspective. The speaker, who is telling these appointed judges of justice, yes, I know, the perfect name if I were a teenager on Wattpad. Since most of the laws banning abortion are supported by Christians and Christian nationalists, I thought the speaker should be a deity of fertility and womanhood. I don't really specify her tone at the beginning of this poem, but you can imagine she's acting calm, even though she's hella mad at what's going on. I mean, do we blame her? I didn't know how to end the poem, so I went with the apocalypse, and if these lawmakers somehow survive, the other survivors will take them out. Revenge so sweet, huh? Revenge is a common theme in my poetry book, DETHROEZ. I mentioned Christian nationalism is a very big problem in the United States, along with Nazism, but let's focus on the Christian nationalism part. So you see, long ago, when this country was still forming, many people came here for religious freedom because they were being persecuted in their own country due to their own religion. I'm not an expert on Christianity or Christian nationalism. I will link a few sources down below to help. I may get some things wrong. I accept corrections and constructive criticism. Be respectful. Anyways, way back when some towns had their own church and their own government. The government was making their own rules, and the church wanted to function on their own, not be involved with lawmaking, something like that. Basically, the church didn't want the government involved, so we created something called the separation of church and state. This was not written into law. The separation of church and state, according to Wikipedia, is a philosophical concept that defined a distance between the church and the government. Quoted by the founder of Rhode Island, Puritan minister Roger Williams was the first to call for a separation between the wilderness of the world and the garden of the church. You notice the words he's using? Very interesting. So remember, it was the church that wanted separation from the state. Having this sort of concept would be supported by the First Amendment, the right to express oneself, and therefore would prevent the U.S. from having an official religion. Christianity is the biggest religious group here in the U.S., about 67% as of 2023. I was not raised Christian. I did go to a Catholic school, and that's a year I'd like to forget. About 45% of these American Christians are Protestants, which makes sense since they were being persecuted in countries like England and escaped here for freedom. It's ironic how this current administration seems to be bringing back the church into the state and completely ignoring the fact that not all Americans are Christian. About 2 years before the 2024 election, there was something called Project 2025, which was created by the Heritage Foundation, and it was a playbook on what will happen when a certain politician was elected. A lot of people did not believe this. I, however, did believe it. I mean, a lot of his followers were evangelicals and even worship him as a godly figure. I guess the commandments don't matter in your house, right? 2024, we were pushing for her to be elected. I will not get into the third-party nominations because that is going to blow my mind, and I will not get into any discussions about that. So, Project 2025 won't go into effect, and lo and behold, April 2025, and we are screwed. I guess the apocalypse is happening sooner than we thought. Who knew 2025 was going to shit so quickly? The main thing we can do is not let ourselves get dismantled by this. They cannot break a bond. Apologies for that protester moment. That's all I have for this section. As for DETHROEZ, my upcoming poetry collection will be published next month, and I'm planning on releasing a few more readings, maybe like 2 more, because we do have 30 poems in total. As you have made a notice on my Instagram and my YouTube community posts, I've started releasing previews from each of my poems. It's like a line or two from each of my poems, and counting down the days until May 20th, 2025. My book is already set up on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Just going to do another look-sees over, and I'll have it set up for pre-orders. Most likely, Barnes & Noble will have a pre-order ready. Amazon's a little finicky about that. Other than that, I hope you all have a great day, evening, or night. Make sure to hydrate and be safe. Bye!